Hello, I'm Helen Fu. Welcome to Health Factor. Lyme disease is transmitted to humans by the bite of infected ticks. It is the most common disease spread by ticks in the Northern Hemisphere, especially in New England area. It's estimated to affect 300,000 people a year in the US alone. It affects men, women, and children of all ages. If left untreated, it can cause serious health problems. Today, we are honored to have Michelle Miller from Central Mass Lyme Foundation as a guest. Today, I have a special guest, Michelle Miller from Central Mass Lyme Foundation. Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you for having me today, Helen.
So tell us a little bit about your background. What is the Central Lyme Foundation and Central Mass Lyme Foundation, and what do you do with the group?
Well, 2 years ago, February 2013, Helen, I lost my mother to late-stage Lyme disease. Originally,
I'm sorry about that.
Thank you. Originally, she was diagnosed in 2011 with ALS, which you've heard. It's like Lou Gehrig's disease. But there's no definitive test for ALS. There is blood work for Lyme disease. So with that being said, we went to a neurologist. He said it was definitely Lou Gehrig's disease. She had 2 to 3 years to live. My mother wasn't going to take that as her diagnosis. And fortunately, she went to seek another opinion and found a Lyme literate doctor who, upon discussing her symptoms with this doctor, he suggested that she get tested for Lyme disease. So this test came back highly positive. He started her on antibiotic treatment for her Lyme, but unfortunately it was much too late. The diagnosis was, too late for her to be treated, and she passed away. She left so many journals of being sick with Lyme disease and people not believing that it was Lyme. And when I read her journals, I said to myself, there needs to be a support group out there for other people who are going through the same thing. So we started the Central Mass Lyme Foundation a year after her passing. And we are now a 501c3 foundation in that we hope to receive donations to provide testing to people who financially are in need of getting the proper test done, because unfortunately the test that my mother had that diagnosed her with late-stage Lyme was a test that she had to pay out of pocket. It was not covered under her health insurance.
I see. Is it an expensive test?
It can be. A full panel of Lyme disease and co-infections can run about $500, Helen.
Wow.
So it can be very expensive. And then the treatment for Lyme disease.
It can be outrageously expensive.
I mean, people go bankrupt for their health when it's just unheard of.
Yeah, that's true.
So we have monthly meetings. We bring in guest speakers like yourself to offer hope to people that there are alternative treatments out there, and to be your own advocate for your health. If you're not feeling well and you're going to your doctor and you're saying, "Doctor, I have these symptoms, can I get tested for Lyme disease?" Unfortunately, most of those tests that are done, Helen, in the doctor's office, they're not accurate. 75% are faulty.
So let's talk about the symptoms for a little bit, because a lot of people are very confused about the symptoms of Lyme disease, because it kind of overlaps with a lot of other neurological problems.
Right.
And so I know, because I've seen a lot of Lyme patients in my office, and who came and who were confused, they were not sure what to do. So the symptoms that I've seen, they range from leaky gut syndrome to depression, anxiety, bipolar even.
Right.
And so, like, what kind of symptoms like did your mom have? Or
my mother in her journals wrote that she had a lot of numbness and tingling in her hands and feet, stiff neck, a lot of joint pain. She did have problems with her stomach. Okay. She did have a rash on her back, which I was not at the doctor's, but she told me that her doctor said she had shingles and put her on steroids.
Ooh.
And unfortunately, she got very sick after that.
Okay.
So a lot of people complain about brain fog.
Yes, brain fog,
right?
memory loss,
memory
focus
loss,
attention problem.
exactly, ADHD.
Yes.
You know, if you have a student who 1 year has been a great student and then the next year is now having focusing, you know, attention problems in school, it could be Lyme disease.
Yes, unfortunately, some of the kids, even grown-ups, they are taking antidepressant drugs, they're taking, you know, other medications. Actually, they have Lyme disease, which is the root cause.
Right, and it's just putting a Band-Aid on the real problem.
Well, so I'm just curious, after the treatments your mother had, did she ever get any better with the antibiotics?
Yes, at one point she did get better. And then Lyme disease, as I'm sure you know with your patients, it takes several different doctors. It takes a team of doctors to heal from Lyme disease.
Actually, you should just take one good doctor
instead of
a group of doctors who didn't quite know.
Right, but there are people that go with herbal treatment. There's ozone therapy.
Yes.
There's Rife therapy. There's on-demand. I mean, there's all these different alternative treatments for Lyme disease. And a lot of people, we're all different. We all look different from the outside. Our makeup inside is much different too.
That's true.
So it depends on our immune system. My mother was older. I'm sure if she was younger and her treatment was caught, you know, was done early in time, she probably would have had a better chance. But it's just unfortunate that her age and her immune system may not have been strong enough to take on the treatment, because sometimes you can feel worse before you feel better, which is called the Erk's reaction, because some people, they've been misdiagnosed for 10 years, they're now finally realizing that it is Lyme disease, they start treatment and they feel so much worse. But that's because the spirochete are dying off and it's creating toxicity to your body. So you hope that you see a doctor who believes in the detoxing, and I don't know if that's something that you...
absolutely, yeah.
Because that is so important.
It needs to be a whole program. It's not just one aspect. And I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about the treatment. I know traditionally, if you have Lyme disease, if you are diagnosed, you go to the doctors, normally get antibiotics.
Right.
But I do see problems with antibiotic treatment because people who have had antibiotic treatment, usually they can come back with a lot of other issues just because antibiotics, you know, also kill off the good bacteria.
Exactly.
So it will cause some Lyme-resistant issues and some other neurological issues. And so I don't think antibiotic is really the only solution or even the best solution. So in my practice, I've used natural remedies. When people are first diagnosed with Lyme disease, or even before diagnosis, usually I emphasize on prevention. So if you got bitten by ticks, then probably it's a good idea to start some natural remedies to prevent any disease. So I use essential oils like tea tree oils, clove, oregano, cinnamon, and a lot of these oils, they are natural antibiotic, antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, and so it's always a good idea to prevent.
It is.
And then even after the first stage, when it becomes chronic condition, then it's even more important to really boost your immune system.
And that's when symptoms appear,
Yes.
when you say chronic.
Yes.
Because somebody can have Lyme but experience no
Yes.
symptoms whatsoever.
That's true.
And Lyme disease flares up monthly.
That's when their immune system usually is compromised, with toxicity,
right.
with heavy metal, or with candida, overgrowth parasites.
Right.
With any of these issues, the immune system is compromised, and then the symptoms will appear, and then it's going to get worse. Usually at the later stages, it's like a full-blown Lyme disease, then it becomes autoimmune disease. And so that's when a lot of times it'll be difficult to treat. But still, if we have a whole program, involves nutrition, involves diet, and cleanse and detox, and immune booster, and all of this will work. Because I've seen patients who were in wheelchairs from Lyme disease, and now they start up their running marathon.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So now tell us a little bit more about your events. What are you organizing, or you have something scheduled?
We started, after we formed the foundation, Helen, in last April, we had a kickoff event at the Wine Vine in Worcester. So for every bottle of wine sold that day, $5 went to our foundation.
Oh.
And then in September of last year, we had a Laughs for Lyme event. It was a comedy night, because my mother just loved to laugh.
Yeah.
So at the Spencer Country Inn, we had about 6 comedians that night. Great event, 135 people came. We're doing it again this year.
Wonderful, yeah. I'd love to get some information.
Okay.
And I believe laugh is one of the best medicines, probably.
Yeah, so we're doing it again October 23rd. At the Spencer Country Inn. We're going to do, like a dinner and then the comedy show after.
Okay.
But we do have a big event coming in a couple weeks. It's at the Quinsigamond Community College, and it's the Mass Lyme Conference.
Is this the very first annual conference?
This is the very first of its kind in New England.
Wow.
This is a major undertaking, but I have a great group of people.
You have some great speakers
Great
that I've
speakers.
seen on your website.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us about the speakers.
Dr. Stephen Phillips, he's going to be our morning keynote speaker. He's the former president of ILADS, which ILADS, for people who don't know, is the International Lyme and Associated Disease Society.
Okay,
so these are doctors that are trained to be Lyme literate. Okay. If they're not a member of ILADS, then they're not most likely going to treat you for Lyme disease.
So what is his approach, just from your understanding? Is he going to talk about prevention or testing or treatment?
He's going to be talking about treatment. Our afternoon keynote speaker is Dr. Eva Sharpe.
Okay.
And she is a research biologist, and she's so excited to come to this conference. Her story is that she was studying for cancer research, and then she contracted Lyme disease. And this has been her mission, to research the spirochete, Borrelia burgdorferi. That's the name of it. Phyllis Mervine, we have from the Lyme Disease Organization in California. We have Dr. Tom Moorcroft, who is another Lyme literate physician. Dr. Sheila Statlander, she's a clinical psychologist who's very familiar with Lyme disease. We have somebody talking about the Rife machine, somebody talking about prevention. Prevention really is the key, you're right, Helen? In April, every April, we have a prevention meeting. We bring in people, tea tree oils, Lyme Guard by Ticks and All. We have a distributor come and sell that product. We firmly agree that natural is the way to go. I speak at schools and we talk to the students, and tea tree oil, anything, you know, natural is really better.
Yeah. And also there are oils people can use to prevent being bitten by ticks. Yeah, before you get into woods or taking that hike, maybe it's prudent to put on some of the oils.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have a lot of great events. And the money that we do receive, we educate the schools in our area. We provide books for local libraries. When I had gone to my mother's library in her town, they only had one book on Lyme disease. So we're making sure that the libraries in our area have the books. So if somebody does have Lyme disease, and may not even have a computer at home, they know that the resource is there in their library if they need it.
Let's talk a little bit more about testings. What kind of tests can people do, or what's involved?
Well, testing, a lot of the testing, Helen, out there is not accurate. So we might as well flip a coin if we wanted to get tested by our physician.
Okay.
You need a specific test done by a specific lab in California. That's all they do, is they test for tick-borne diseases.
Okay, so this is
a test. So they are a specialist. It's an it's an IgG and IgM Western blot test.
Okay, so if people suspect that they might have Lyme disease, do they have to go to the doctors to get a prescription, or they can just
a requisition?
Yeah.
But the people who call us first, what we do is we give them the number for this lab, and the lab sends them the test kit.
So people can actually do the tests just through the labs. They don't have to go to their doctors.
Well, they may need the doctor to sign the requisition.
Okay, I see.
In order to do that.
Okay.
There also is a specific lab that will draw the blood in this area too. They know what to do with this test kit.
Okay.
So that's information that we provide to them too. The problem is the cost of the test. $220 for just a Lyme disease basic test.
Okay.
$500 for the Lyme disease and co-infection test.
Yeah, that's the problem I've seen with my clients, because a lot of times when they have chronic Lyme disease, Lyme disease is not just Lyme disease. It actually involves a lot of other issues and conditions. So when they have chronic Lyme disease, a lot of times their condition is so ripe for other tick-borne or mosquito-borne diseases, infections. And so a lot of times there was like multiple infection going on.
And we're telling people who call to keep the tick. There are labs that are testing the ticks to see what co-infections they have. We had one woman in our group, she got bit by a tick. She went to a hospital with the tick in the bag. The doctor basically laughed at her. What do you need to keep this tick for? She found out about our foundation. She called me. I said, you need to send that tick to tickreport.com. $50, you will know all the diseases that tick had. And sure enough, it came back being positive for carrying Lyme disease, and she got treatment right away. So it's so important to keep the tick. It may sound ridiculous, but it was well worth the $50 for her.
Exactly. That's good information for people to know about it. As a matter of fact, I was bitten twice by ticks in the past probably 10 years or so. I was hiking, and then I got a tick, and then another time I was just in my front yard. I was just, doing something with the rose bushes or the garden, and then a tick bit me on my ear. Because I knew what to do right after, so I started my own natural remedies right afterwards.
Good.
And so that's why I've never had any issues with Lyme disease.
Good, because most people, they don't keep the tick. Some don't even know that they got bit by a tick.
Yes.
And then they start to feel sick, then they may start having migraines, joint pain, I mean, paralysis, Bell's palsy.
Bell's
My
palsy
mother
is
started
one of
with
the
the Bell's
symptoms.
palsy.
Yes.
We thought she had a stroke. You know, Lyme disease is called the great imitator for a reason, because it mimics so many other diseases.
That's true.
So when you go to your doctor and you're saying, you know, this is what I have, what do you think I have? You know, they're doing the best that they can with their knowledge, but you know, sometimes it doesn't hurt to rule out Lyme disease and demand that you get tested.
Well, you are absolutely right. So that's why, because the symptoms really overlap with so many other issues.
Right.
Most times doctors don't know, or people, they don't know. They just thought, oh, I just have this issue or that issue.
Right.
So they even don't quite correlate that with the Lyme disease. And so what are some of the common symptoms? Let's just help our audience and to understand.
Joint pain.
Joint pain is really common.
Paralysis, you know,
Paralysis,
I mean, a lot of children especially are affected with that, you know, trouble walking.
Joint pain, stiffness, and
Stiffness,
also
dizziness,
eye infection.
right,
Is one of the
yeah.
issues.
A lot of people can have eye problems, gut problems, right?
Yeah.
You know, my mother had slurred speech,
Rashes.
too. Rashes.
Rashes can be anywhere.
Chronic fatigue.
Chronic
you know,
fatigue
somebody's
is,
sleeping all
Yes.
day.
Yes.
You know, just can't focus, can't concentrate. Depression.
Depression, anxiety.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
Yes.
Attention problems, and so all of these are very common
Fibromyalgia,
symptoms.
Helen. Did we ever hear of fibromyalgia years
Yes,
ago?
yes.
Chronic fatigue syndrome.
Yes. And even MS, yeah, a lot of times doctors now, they start to make that connection. It has the connection with,
Right.
yeah.
There's a website, als-cure.com. Lou Gehrig was named his disease ALS,
Yeah.
but do you know that he had a vacation home in Lyme, Connecticut, and he liked to garden?
Wow, okay.
So when I went to this site, there's a lot of interesting facts about the tie between ALS and Lyme disease.
Yeah.
If the majority of ALS patients would get themselves tested for Lyme disease, that, you know, that death sentence that they're getting at the doctors, if it can be treated with antibiotics or herbals or essential oils, you know, we could save a life.
So when people have a lot of structural issues, when they have trouble walking, when they have trouble with basically their central nervous systems, or I think it's always a good idea to, you know, get tested for Lyme disease,
Right.
especially if they had the issues with Lyme.
Right.
Yeah.
The problem is the cost of the testing.
Okay. So I hope someday insurance will cover it, because
I
it's
hope
so
so.
important.
It is. It's
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah. So now tell us, how do people reach you, or how do they
Well,
find
we now have a toll-free line, so anyone can call in. Like if they know that, you know, somebody's been very sick and, you know, they think it's Lyme disease, but how can they convince this person that it's Lyme disease? That, I mean, I get a lot of calls like that. Okay. It's 1-888-511-LYME. 5963.
That's the number on the
That's
screen,
the number,
I believe.
yeah.
So
and
people can just call in that number to get more information.
Right, and we have monthly meetings. It's the second Saturday of every month in Worcester at the United Universalist Church.
At what time?
1 to 3.
Okay.
And the only month that we don't meet, Helen, is December.
People are too busy.
People are too busy.
For the holidays.
Right. But every month we have guest speakers. So we would have you come in one month. You know, we would have an herbalist come and speak, or an on-demand practitioner, or somebody talking about the Rife machine. All different types of guest speakers that we've had the past couple of years. And it just brings the information to all these people because they don't have that resource anywhere else.
And so how do people help you?
How do people help me? I have a great group of volunteers, especially for this conference that we're having in a couple weeks. They have helped with the website. If you go to masslymeconference.com, we had a volunteer, Helen, put together that whole website for us.
That's nice, yeah.
We have somebody working out the food for the event, somebody working with the exhibitors, the speakers, just
so it's
organizing.
A whole day event.
It's a whole day event. It's from 9 to 4 that Saturday. Tickets are $7. It includes a free lunch.
Okay.
It's going to be a wealth of information that day. And we also have people coming up from Maryland with the Lyme quilt, which is a 12-foot by 10-foot quilt of squares of Lyme survivors and also people who have passed away. And my mother's square is on that quilt.
Wow.
So we're honored to have it be displayed at our conference. Yes.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So just tell people, last thing, we are running out of time. If you have one thing you want to tell our audience about Lyme disease, about your foundation, what do you want to say to them?
That even if you don't have Lyme disease and want to educate yourself more about what Lyme disease is, come to one of our meetings. You know, because we need you to be your own advocate when it comes to your health, and question the doctor. If you're still displaying symptoms and they're telling you that the test is negative, get a second opinion.
Yes, that's
when
important.
we have contractors come to our house, we get what? 1, 2, 3
or
quotes, right? Don't take a negative test as your final diagnosis.
Exactly.
And we are here to help with any resources that we can help you with. Be it, you know, finding a Lyme literate doctor, getting the proper testing, connecting you with somebody who has a child with Lyme disease, you know, just making sure that you have someone to talk to, because it is an isolated illness.
It is. But people don't have to suffer anymore because of you and what you do. Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you, Helen.
We really appreciate your help. I hope you've learned something new today about Lyme disease. If you have had tick bites and have experienced some symptoms such as brain fog, depression, chronic fatigue, anxiety, panic disorder, joint pain, flu symptoms, rashes, eye inflammation, hepatitis, swollen lymph nodes, heart palpitations, and Bell's palsy, you might want to consult your doctor and test for the possibility of Lyme disease. Remember, you don't ever have to suffer in silence. There are support groups available if you need any help. You can learn more at www.helenfu.com. Stay healthy until next time. Bye-bye.